I have a Troy-Bilt 4-cycle lawn trimmer that has a bad catch wheel on here. The catch for the pull start on it, this part actually is fine. The spring works fine on here, but the little catch that's on the back of this is broken off. And so right here is one of them. There should be one additional one right here. That's broken off. I've taken the back off, and I got online and found a replacement part. This one here is on Amazon, and I can put the model number in the comments. But this one's a little bit different. As you can see here, this has a metal catch on both of these. So it's a little bit better than the one that's over here. This one's made out of plastic, and it's a lot wobblier. So I think once this is put on, that it should actually start a little bit easier. This is the oil pan assembly. So it comes with, out of the box, it comes with the gasket on here. It also comes with another little bag, and it has your Troy-Bilt, Cub Cadet, different brand names on there for the compatible part. But this is the seal that goes to the oil, where you add your oil. Check your oil over here on the side, so that'll be removed down here. So we have to take that whole part off, drain the oil, put this back on, make sure we're sealed up good, and then put this back on at the end. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and drain the fuel out of it, so that that's not in there messing with anything, and then we'll take the oil out and we'll just change it while we're doing it. We'll put that new one on and see how it all starts. Go ahead and disconnect my spark plug. Move this out of the way. Clean that up while I'm in here. On this part here, so again, this is fine, but right here it's missing the spring and the little C-clip that goes on there, and who knows where that went. So yeah, we'll go ahead and just set this aside and get the new one ready. So it did come with a new gasket seal there, so I'll check that out. Came with the screws with a little seal glue on there, so I'll go ahead and use the new ones as well. Go ahead and put your little valve window there so you can, or your little fill window. You can see how much there is in there. I've had issues with this in the past with the fuel mixing with the oil. It hasn't done that recently, but when I first got it I was having issues with that. I don't know if I overfilled it or what I had done. So that goes on there nicely. Let's give it another little wipe off. Basically, when you pull this, the pull string, the motor spins with that connecting in there. Go ahead and wipe this out. Take our new seal here. So this gasket is bi-directional. I can actually stick it on either way. It came taped into place like this. The holes match up on either side, regardless of which way you do it. Go ahead and take out our new screws. It comes with 6 new screws that are hex or slotted. I'll take the old ones that we have here and set those aside. Go ahead and flip this over here so we can get at it a little bit easier from the top. So while I have this flipped over, let's go ahead and clean up the insides a little bit. Never hurts to take the extra time, make it look new for a few more days before you get out there and hack on some weeds again. So this Troy-Bilt I do have the little cultivator extension. I had it with a previous model that I had, a different Troy-Bilt that had the detachable extensions that you can add to the top, and it stopped working. It was a 2-cycle motor, 2-cycle engine. I went ahead and scrapped that and got this one. This was the 4-cycle. Go ahead and take this, place this in there, and I'm going to feel for this. As I put it in, there's a little window on the side, and you can see the connector on it. So it can go on either side. So I can look at that, get that put in there. Let's go ahead and get those lined up there. Go ahead and placing these in. I'm just kind of finger tightening them. They don't go in very far. I'm going to use a hand screwdriver. I don't want to strip these with the torque, so I'll just go ahead and take this by hand and put those in a little bit, make sure they're going in there. You can rotate this to get down into the opposite side. Make sure your screws are lined up. Before you tighten them, this one here is a little bit off. There we go. That one's good now. Before I tighten this, it has a little play, So, and these screws are not tapered, so they're not going to self-align this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at this other seal here. So it looks on the wear of this that it's actually kind of down as far as it can. So most likely we'll do the same. So we'll drop this upside down here, and then I will push this up. So I'm pushing, since I have more up here, and that's kind of how it was before, I'm going to push it that way as I tighten these. And then I will give it a quick, before I crank it down all the way, I'm going to go ahead and spin the shaft a little bit here and see how it feels, if it's catching anywhere. If it does catch, then it's possibly not aligned quite right. So here, a little compression there. It doesn't feel off. I think it's alright. I'm going to move it just a little bit, see if it has a little different feel if I don't go down just as much. So that was all the way down. I'm going to bring it up just about there. Let's see what that feels like. I'll just tighten these two down. Yeah, it feels about the same. I definitely have the compression that you're fighting against, so let's go ahead and crank these down by hand. Alright, so I'm checking the seal just to make sure it didn't come out too much. Over torquing this to have the seal squish all the way out. Seal looks good all the way around, and I can see this on the new one. I can see how it's coming out the top a little bit, so we should be good there. So again, if there's like a knocking or anything, then I'll probably come back and adjust this a little bit. Alright, so we have our new flywheel there with our catch. Go ahead and put the oil fill valve back on. Make sure it's cleaned out. There's a little particulate in there, will get out. So yeah, when I first got this, as I mentioned, in the window here, I was getting a lot of foaminess in here, and I don't know what the issue was. Maybe I turned it a certain way, but I did dump that dump the oil out, which was mixed with gas. Refilled it, and I think I just probably didn't fill it as much the second time, and I haven't had the problem since then. So here we'll go ahead and make sure this is clean before I put it in there. And you can see down in there. So I'm going to apply equal pressure to this, and it's snapped in there pretty nice. So this just has one screw to hold this in. Now this screw I set aside. It looks pretty much like the other ones, but it is a little bit thicker. So you want to make sure. So this is the one that goes to the oil fill, and this is the one there. So they're slightly, the oil fill is a little bit thicker. So you don't want to get those mixed up. I'm not going to over tighten that one since that's plastic, but it's got a good seal in there, so there's no gaps, so that's good. Alright, so that's all back together. If we set this aside, I'll go ahead and put this on it so I don't get anything inside the oil pan while I'm doing this. So on this piece here, we'll go ahead and put that on. That comes into this bottom part. It's flipped upside down. Comes in the bottom part first, and then just clips in to the top section right there. So there's that. Again, still upside down, so looking at it backwards. Making sure all these look good. Everything looks fine there. Now I'll take our spool unit here with the pull string on it. Go ahead and clean that out a little. When this first broke, I was worried. What happened is I pulled this and it caught and it wouldn't go back in. I banged it around a little bit and it finally went in, and that's when the piece probably finally came out. So I did find the piece. The piece itself wasn't broken, but so here's the piece. This wasn't broken, but of course the C-ring, the little spring, was missing, and after I got this one in the mail, I really liked how it had the metal catches on there. So rope looks good, spring looks good. Go ahead and put this back on. So with here, there's 2 screws down here, and there is 1 larger screw right here. So go ahead and put that on. Oh, someone flip this over when I do this. So on this part, you have to lift. I didn't take this part off all the way. I just did it with it still on there. So this part, the bottom, you got to get the oil, or sorry, you have to get the fuel in there. The fuel line, or the fuel tank, has this little catch that goes into there to hold that tight. There's a slot on the left side here that we'll line that up. So I'll just flip this on the side here. Get the fuel tank in, get the bottom lined up there, and then in terms of this, we'll just give it a little tug as we move that up higher. So a little tug, it's catching, I can feel it. So then down below, we'll get that lined up. Alright, so I'm going to just a little pull. There we go. Just had to pull that a little bit. Get that in there. So that's sitting in there nice. I can feel tension right on there before I even screw anything in yet. I can feel all that tension. So thankfully I saved my screws and a little popcorn butter melter. So the first one we'll do is up top in there, and my guess is it's this one. This is a short one, probably goes right into the metal, that's my guess. It's been a few days since I had this apart. Hopefully when I get it back together, all the screws we took out I'll put back in. Alright, give that a good little amount of pressure there. Everything's good, tank's in, all that's in, so we'll go ahead and put these bottom screws in. Alright, so I do have a couple more spots for some screws. So I have 2 more screws here. Go ahead and alright, get it all back together. Still feel tension on there. Spark plug's off. I'll leave that off till I get the oil put back in. This takes SA30 oil is what it recommends, and I usually fill it up till it's halfway through the little bubble in there. So it's not quite halfway. We'll give it a little bit more. There we go. We're about halfway on the bubble. So we'll go ahead and put that back in. I'll show it to you up on the screen. If I can get this level. So I can't really see that in there too. There you go. Got our fuel back. Alright, got everything buttoned back up. Connect the spark plug in here. Prime it a little bit. See what we get. Hey, it works. Not bad for a computer guy. Thanks for joining me on fixing the Troy-Bilt TB685 pull cord and the oil pan assembly. You can get it off Amazon. I'll list the parts below.